Hello, everybody. Welcome to Economics with the Honorable David M. Walker, the former Comptroller General of the United States. I'm Nick Palvito. I'll be the moderator of today's show, and David will be joining us as soon as he finishes buying a car. At least he's working on it right now, a nice Mercedes, hopefully. I guess he's doing pretty well. But we do have a special guest who's going to bring us some information from Bangladesh, especially on the World Talent Economic Forum. Until David gets here, no other than Dr. Sharif. Dr. Sharif, I saw that you have this, it's coming up. Unfortunately, I'm traveling. So at best I'll be able to do is maybe show up, maybe not. I'm heading off to Vienna for a week. So, but tell us about the World Talent Economic Forum and what you're doing. You have an upcoming special guest, and it's going to be on Pod TV, so let our viewers know.
Yeah, thank you. This World Talent Economic. Thank you. For this World Talent Economic Forum, actually, we are doing economical activities. We are doing practice of wisdom. We are working with the youth communities of Bangladesh, of South Asia. So for that particular issues, right now we have around 100,000 people from around the world. We have scientists, inventors, policymakers, and everyone in our team. So recently we are planning for Innovative Bangladesh. Because what I understand that what I learned even from this Western world, that innovations and startup ecosystem is the most important factor for solving critical component and solving problem. So for that particular issue, definitely I will invite you all, including Nick Palveda and Kimberly and all of the producer of Pot TV, and Pot TV will be our partners. So we are launching our Innovative Bangladesh 2040 activities. And also we do invite our Prime Minister, our Education Ministers, our Cultural Minister, our Religious Ministers, as well as different private university, public university, and all of the corporation and business incubations. So this is the community we are developing, and definitely Pot TV is a very interesting TV, and Pot TV actually give us a voice. Pot TV actually bring all of the interesting idea from around the world, and definitely it's a very good podcast for our youth, for our young communities, and we can learn a lot of things through this economics and all of the things. Uh, Also, for this global peace, I request that we are observing a lot of economical challenges because of energy. Country like Bangladesh, we are heavily dependent on Middle East market for energy and so on. So through this Pot TV, I will request that how these intellectual communities and global policymakers can negotiate this complex problem, especially in between Iran and USA and Israel. This is actually creating massive challenges for Bangladesh. Uh, and third important aspect, I just want to say that the global community, we should not invest on these military activities and so on. Better we do focus on global peace. We do focus on this collaboration, like developed nations and developing nations, how we can work together and how we can boost economic activities, how we can enhance the capacity of the human, how, and this is the smartest way for USA to be a leader, be a economic leaders, be contributors for the global South. So that's why our global North and global South, like South Asian corridor, playing a very strong activities. Our people are so motivated to invite you all, Nick, Kimberly's, and everyone in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Well, that's a good start, but also let you know what's going on in the United States. You may want to know this, and we'll bring our panel in very shortly. We discussed this with Dr. Azar on VC Masters, and but let you know, here's what's coming down the pike in June in the United States. Try SpaceX going public with a market cap of 1.75 to $2 trillion. Now, this is Elon Musk's dream. Using space age technology, but also he has artificial intelligence built into it. He bought an AI company, but that's not all that's going on in June. It'll be Anthropic. It's going public for $850 billion. And then we have a third AI company going public in June. OpenAI for $500 billion. So we're talking about a lot of companies, a lot of market caps. If this and the war does make a difference, Sharif. They're holding back their IPO because of the war, and they want to go public, but we're talking about trillions of dollars. Now, we don't have trillions of dollars here on our network. We have trillions of dollars of intellectual property here. I'm going to bring that in. Kim Calhoun from the Raleigh-Durham area, and of course Sasha Starr, who's our investment guru at Modern Investments, and maybe we can hear their opinion about what's going on before David gets here. David's out buying a Mercedes, so he says he's going to be here as soon as he closes his deal and gets his new Mercedes. That's it. Can't blame on that. But Sasha, we'll start with you since you run the Modern Investment Show. What are your thoughts about these three companies going public? SpaceX, 1.75 to 2 trillion market cap, Anthro, 850 billion market cap, and OpenAI, 500 billion market cap. Will that pull the United States out of a stall, or are these things going to stall because of the war?
Yeah, I probably would agree with you that because of the war, that could be stalled, or at least not have a usual effect, as if it could have been done, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 years ago. It's normally very exciting news, and but now it's overshadowed by many other things what are happening around the world. And in this respect, it's very difficult to get excited about this IPOs and all other things. Now, think about it. If you will take all this excitement out, so you will see that, okay, here is the same company, say SpaceX. It's worth today, arguably, say, $10 trillion, okay? So once it goes public, it doesn't get any extra revenue or anything that it will become $11 trillion company. It's going to be the same $10 trillion company. However, money from one investor will gravitate to pockets of another investor. So basically all will happen that some people will sell their shares and will sit out on quite sizable gain, where other new investors will take all the risk, where and how much it will go, either lower or much lower or maybe higher. So this is all what it is. So I really, for myself, I'm talking about only myself, I see zero excitement altogether. There is no excitement, zero, plus another zero, yet another 3 large zeros. That's all I see. Thank you.
That seems very positive. We'll go to the Raleigh-Durham area and see if Kimberly has a different opinion about these three major companies going public. What looks like their market caps, their mega IPOs, 500 billion, 850 billion, 1.75 trillion to $2 trillion. Do you see that having the positive effect on the American economy?
I do not. I do not see this as a positive impact anywhere in the world. I think it's allowing three companies to monopolize all of the market, as opposed to allowing capitalism to be evenly spread. I wouldn't invest because I feel like that this is exactly what we went through in .com. Why are we investing so much into space right now? And instead of investing in things that we need here on Earth, we need better food production, healthier food productions. We need less toxins in our environment and in our food. We need things to invest in here. I know SpaceX, but the others, I just think we're allowing a monopoly, and the only people who are getting rich are those three entities and those that are involved with them. The people who invest their money, they'll get what I call that short jaunt game. But if you don't get out fast, I think it's going to be another .com.
Well, that doesn't sound very positive. Well, we'll see if Dr. Sharif wants to play roulette in the United States. Do you have any plans, or Bangladesh investing in these 3 mega IPOs in the U.S., which is SpaceX, which we're scrolling below, 1.75 trillion, Anthropic, 850 billion, and then of course OpenAI, 500 billion. Are we going to suck all the money out of Bangladesh and send it to San Francisco?
This is actually very good corporations. As I focus on talent economy, this is very good example. Definitely good example, because how I work with the youth in South Asia, how I see the communities, because USA still has a very good impact with their innovation and innovation related activities. Even Bangladesh is a country we invite all of the innovative activities in our country. So when people has some motivation, like, okay, this is SpaceX, this OpenAI and Anthropic doing brilliant job with their extraordinary innovations and activities, it's create positive impact in our culture. It's create positive impact in the humanity. That's what I'm sure. Secondly, if you ask me the social moralities and other things, yes, I want from World Talent Economic Forum, we need more millionaires, not more billionaires. Because when you have distributed asset and you have millions of people, those who have ability to innovations and those who have ability to build up startup, those who have utilizing their wisdom and make a peaceful communities and everything, that is also important. So this kind of inspirational IPOs and corporations is valuable. From there, our emerging economy, definitely I am from developing nations. I'm not like a Silicon Valley guy and everyone, but I have a very good relations with them and all of the venture capital. And what I discuss about this North-South corridor, like Global North and Global South corridor, I bring $500 million commitment from Global North. And they are committing, this venture capital committed to invest in Bangladeshi startup, invest in South Asian startup. So US economy is very open, very innovative. Yes, there are some wire and other things. It has a lot of controversy, but I'm very honest that I'm very grateful to all of my US people, because my thought process improvement and other things happen through this innovative industry. So I believe these 3 companies will be a very, very good example for the global community. And we should focus. Bangladesh investors should invest in these corporations, invest in this kind of innovation. This is very important. Thank you.
Okay, we're joined by the Honorable David M. Walker, the former Comptroller General of the United States. We're discussing the situation where OpenAI is going public for 500 billion, Anthropic 850 billion, SpaceX 1.75 trillion to 2 trillion. Will it pull out the United States from an economic slump and their huge debt, or will David Walker, by purchasing a Mercedes, pull us out of the national debt? That is the question to you, David.
Well, first, I apologize for being like you hit the why. The U.S. is not we growth about.
We're having problems with your audio, David.
Hold
Audio.
on.
Yeah. Not sure why.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, that's better.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah. You may not be close enough.
How's that? Is that close?
Yeah, that's good. I'm more interested in the car than
Okay.
1.75 trillion.
So we're not in a recession. We've got slow growth. The make could
There's still a problem with the audio.
I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Let me see if I can
I'm going to come out. I'm going to try to go on via.
Wait. Now it's good. If you talk close like that, it's good.
So, our main concern right now is the Iranian conflict, how that's going to be solved, how quickly we can make sure that the Strait of Hormuz is open, so that global oil prices will come down. We don't have a supply problem, but obviously, oil is a global commodity. The disruption in the global supply coming up the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz is something that we are experiencing through higher. That's the main concern right now. And it's not just an economic issue, it's a political issue because we have midterm elections coming up in November. And I know very well Americans don't really care that much about foreign policy, rightly or wrongly. They definitely don't like foreign wars, which I think rightly. They're more concerned with domestic issues and most concerned with their own pocketbook.
Okay, so how's that affecting our pocketbook here in the United States? We'll go to Kim and find out. Are oil prices and gas prices going up in your neck of the woods?
I've not seen them go down. I've experienced them continuously going up. I think it's grossly inflated for what's going on. I don't think it was necessary. I don't know what kind of games they're playing. I wish I was able to have attended the CERA week, but instead I was in DC talking with senators and congressmen. But I think we're heading into a danger zone with this war. And I think that this is not a place that we need to be. I think we need to find a way to bow out eloquently and focus on us, not everything else that's going on. You have difference of opinions. Oh, we need to do this. This is needed to be done for a long time. There were no weapons of mass destructions there. We bombed a school in the beginning. We just need to focus on us. We need to get our oil prices and gas prices under control. We need to get our food prices under control. We don't have anyone to really do any of the massive farming that we needed done this year because you detained them all. So I think what we need to do is focus on us. I would like to disband the IRS. I think it's been nothing but a bad problem for many years. Go to a flat tax for a while. It doesn't need to be a ridiculous high flat tax, but I think if we pay straight across the board, one simple flat tax, we can rebuild the debt that we have put on ourselves and take those people in the IRS and employ them to work with the immigrants and help process immigrants because the IRS people are everywhere. I think that we can properly process the people. I think we need a lot of the immigrants. And I think, we've done nothing but mass destruction in not just our economy, but with our morals and with our foundation of this country.
Okay, we'll see what Canada has to say about it. I know that they're getting really close to the United States and they want to get closer to the United States. Right, Sasha?
Yes, and we are getting exactly there. We're getting very close to the United States, maybe not geographically and maybe not historically and maybe not economically and maybe not in any sense. And I'd like, Kimberly, I'd like to mention when you say we need this and we need that, this is a very poor argument because beside we, there are they. Who are they? It's Trump and his surrounding of a few cabinet people who through his actions became enormously rich. They are now so wealthy, and Trump himself, of course, included, that all the wishes and talk about people like yourself, Kimberly, it's absolutely coming to the death space. There is no validity in that. It's the 5, 6 people ruling today United States of America and doing everything what they want. And you cannot, my friends, escape it. You are all slaves of this cabinet, and they are going to do with you everything what they want, and that's what they are doing. Now, Trump can finish the war in next half an hour. Just take all your people, your soldiers, your flights and ships and everything, and just get out of there. Just get out of there. You were outplayed by Iranians who very quickly figured out your weaknesses. Your weaknesses is upcoming election. Your weakness is you cannot start invasion, full-scale invasion of Iran, because you will lose 10,000, maybe 50, maybe 100,000. It doesn't matter. Even if you lose only 50 people, it's already too much to stomach for getting what? Getting oil in Trump's pockets, the oil revenue of Iran, or collecting Strait of Hormuz fees. What is it all about? What does it do today to people like Kimberly and other people? And let's see, the America will take all Iranian oil and all Strait of Hormuz revenue. What does it do to you? Nothing. Now, today is a big day. United States government is going to start paying back the tariffs that they collected. And we are talking about approximately $200 billion. So Trump was promising to bring $17 trillion worth of new investment. Where is the money? Where is the 17 trillion? Where is the 7 trillion? Where is the $1 trillion? None. And tariffs that you said, oh, I'm going to collect tariffs all over the world, that's all mine. Payback time, baby. That's where we are. So what you're talking about, SpaceX and this and that, this is all absolute nonsense. There is nothing behind it. It's another propaganda to squeeze people for money, to get IPO money from them. And I say, okay, well, it didn't work out. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay. Let's see if Jacoby has any opinion relating to what's going on this war in Iran.
I mean, Sasha, in a different manner.
Can't hear you.
Whoop.
I can hear you, Jacoby.
Oh, okay. Well,
Can't hear
Sasha,
you.
in a different manner, has said basically everything that I kind of similar to what I would say.
I can't hear a word he's saying.
We can hear him, David. He's
Can't
good.
hear you either, Nick.
Oh, it's your computer, David. He's good.
Yeah.
Okay. He's good. It's David's good.
Couldn't hear him at all.
Right. You're good, Jacoby.
Oh, okay. Well, point being, Sasha said a lot of what I would say, but just in a different light. Basically, the war itself, and similar to what Kim said, they have touted this whole idea of, or parroted the Netanyahu line that there was nuclear material and Iran was going to. They've done this for the past 20 so years, that Iran has a nuclear weapon and they're going to make it right now. It was never true then. And it wasn't true when we bombed them, because either the person under oath was lying, saying that wasn't happening, or the person in front of the camera was lying, saying that it was. So one of the two, you've got to decide: do you trust the person who told you under oath that this nuclear material or this nuclear bomb was going to be built immediately, that was going to be built immediately who said that in front of a TV camera? Or do you believe the person under oath who said that it wasn't going to be built immediately and it hadn't been planned? So that was the first problem with everything. So now we're at a war of choice, and honestly, could be potentially an illegal war of choice based on the laws around that. But then, yeah, what's going on now? It's ridiculous. The Strait was open before all this, and now we're having a fight because we're trying to get the Strait of Hormuz open. Iran never controlled the Strait before, but now Iran controls the Strait. So yeah, gas prices, all the energy prices, all that stuff's going up. Fertilizer, food prices, and all the other stuff going up. We're just at a bad time, and it was clumsily chosen and clumsily being executed. From what the news report, there's a news report out there that's saying that the generals locked Trump out of the choices going on recently, which quite possibly could have happened. But either way, right now we're at a point where, we're losing as the U.S. loses a lot of money. Trump is choosing to do a lot more insider trading because he knows his words change the market. And that's what is now being reporting and leaning heavily over that administration is about the insider trading, where you have trades happening minutes before he makes an announcement about things. This is all corrupt. And Sasha, you're right. We could end it immediately, but Trump's family invested in oil, and they're making a killing right now. And they're making a killing on insider trading because they know that he's going to make a tweet on his Truth Social to shift the markets. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you guys, I'm not comfortable participating in this podcast because it's not talking about economics. It's talking about politics.
I had a quick question for you. Was it economic oriented?
And it's very personal. And I think that's not what I signed up for. Okay.
Yeah, but I had a question for you that was economics related and everything like that. It wasn't necessarily political and everything like that, because I was going to tease you, which actually that's what I think Nick did earlier as well. But I was just wondering about the Mercedes that you bought and everything like that, and how the car market is going and all along those lines. Because I just happened to look it up and I saw that there were some very nice price Mercedes that were like in that $8,000 range, and there were others that were more in the typical Mercedes range and everything like that. So as one that's been doing car shopping, I'm not a car buyer, as y'all know. I get around by mass transit and everything like that. But I was just curious, since you just went into the car market, how you felt the car market was in this particular day. So that would be an economic question. So how did you think about the car market in this particular day, since you just went on the car market? I just happened to look it up and I saw, hey, there's a Mercedes that's for $8,000. That would be actually cheap if I was buying a car. But I saw some others that were more in that $150,000, $200,000 range and everything like that. So just curious, your thoughts about the car market.
Well, real quickly, I bought a new Mercedes, convertible E53 AMG. That's what I bought, and it was not six figures, but it was upper five figures. And the car market depends upon which car you buy, and whether or not it's new or used depends a lot about which car you buy. For example, the car that I got rid of, a Porsche 911S, which was 5.5 years old, only depreciated about 20% in 5.5 years. Whereas if it had been another luxury car, whether it be BMW or Mercedes or whatever, probably would have depreciated double that. Okay, so it really depends upon the make and model of the car that you buy, as both with regard to new and used. At one point in time during COVID, there was a real increase in prices for used cars, in part because it was difficult to get the new cars cleared through the port. My car was affected by that. It sat at the port, the last car, for 3 months. And so that served to increase prices of used cars. It's come down from there, but that's kind of a summary.
Hey, just really quick, if I can ask a follow-up economic question, and I kind of alluded to it in the earlier conversation that we were talking about it with Zillow and everything, and apparently there's a lot of accidental landlords. So I was just wondering how, because you follow a lot of economic trends, how you think the housing market is doing on this particular day as well. Because like what I had mentioned in our news show is there's a lot of accidental landlords that are basically renting their houses because they can't sell their houses.
It's called location, location, location. The market here where I live in suburban Washington is surprisingly strong, even though there were significant workforce reductions that resulted last year as a result of DOGE, and that had a temporary adverse effect. But the market is still strong here in the Washington D.C. area. Obviously, it varies by geographic area. One of the things that I'm concerned about right now is New York City. I've got some investments in multifamily real estate in New York City, and with the new mayor, I'm very concerned about what the value of those investments are going to be with regard to some of the things that he's talking about, with regard to property taxes and other types of activities.
I've noticed property taxes going up in various different places in the country. Do you have any idea what the reasoning behind this is?
Well, as you know, Kim, the number one source of revenue for local governments is property tax.
Right.
And the number one expense for local government is education. Obviously, public safety and, in the form of police and fire come right after that. So the real issue is that, what's driving those costs to the extent that you end up having higher values for the homes, then they can keep the mill rate, which is the tax rate, the same and still make more money. But to the extent that the value of the homes go down, and they still need to raise the same amount of money, they'll increase the mill rate. And interestingly, in most states and localities, you can appeal the value of the home that they ascribe, the assessed value. You can't appeal the mill rate. And so where I came from in Connecticut, they would try to keep the value of your home reasonable, and they just raise the mill rate in order to get the amount of money that they needed to get, because you can't appeal that. All you can do is vote out the mayor and the city council.
When you do that, can you eventually get the mill rate reduced? Or have you noticed that when it does increase, it pretty much stays there?
Basically, they plug the mill rate, Kim. What they do is they say, all right, how much money do we need? What is the assessed value of all the homes that we tax? And they plug the mill rate to get how much money they need. That's what they do, okay? And obviously, at least in the state that I moved from, which is Connecticut, there's huge disparity in the school systems. You can go to a Greenwich, which is one of the wealthiest towns in the country, or you could go to Bridgeport, which is one of the poorest towns in the country. And Greenwich has great schools. Bridgeport has poor schools. And even with, the state trying to provide some additional funding above and beyond what you get through property taxes, there's still great disparities with regard to the quality of education. And as we all know on this call, the overall quality of education in the United States in the K through 12 area is below average for an OECD nation. It's well above average at college because we have some of the leading universities in the world that people want to come to. But K through 12, we are not doing well, and that needs to change.
I agree with you on that. I think one of the places that we fail on the K through 12 is we're not paying our teachers enough money. They're just not being compensated for the amount of work that they're doing. And I think we need to change up a little bit what they're teaching. We don't teach real life skills.
Yeah, let me come back on that. My mother-in-law taught for over 40 years in elementary level. My wife taught as a substitute teacher once she left Delta Airlines. My daughter is now a substitute teacher, if you will, and so I've got some direct experience here. The bottom line is, I agree that their pay needs to be more competitive, but I also agree that we're not teaching the right things. And I also agree that their pay needs to relate more to performance, not just showing up, but how do the kids do? Okay,
I
and
agree.
you might have to adjust it by, the nature of the school population, but there needs to be some correlation there, if you will.
David, this has been coming up on LinkedIn a lot. As they say, the national debt has increased now. It's $39 trillion.
Right.
But what also is a problem is the interest on the debt is $1 trillion. But what they are not showing is this. We know that SpaceX has a market cap of 1.75 to 2 trillion, but that's the market cap. They're only going to raise 40 or 50 billion to get that market cap. In other words, it's all fake meatball, but the problem is that 1 trillion is real hard dollars that are going out. It's not market cap dollars going out. So are we under an economic illusion that AI will pull us out of the national debt?
Only God knows the answer to that question. My view is it's going to be mixed. My view is that AI is going to help us with regard to innovation. AI is going to help us with regard to productivity. At the same point in time, AI is going to cause certain categories of workers to lose their jobs. If they're not value-added workers, if their primary job is doing research, AI can do that, although you need people with experience to be able to check what AI does, because AI is not always right. In addition to that, you've also got security and privacy issues that we need to be concerned about with regard to AI. We need to work through. Look, you talk about market cap. These the companies that are coming out with IPOs are being hyped big time. And so the real question is, what are they going to be worth a month from now?
Exactly.
There's a history of when you have things that get hyped a lot, they come in hot, they cool off, and then they may get hot again over time. But we'll see.
Hey, David, along those same lines and all along those lines, I had the pleasure this weekend of attending, because I was actually on the judging committee, a couple of days of the 4-day Full Frame Festival and everything like that, which is major documentary filmmakers from around the country and around the world. And I can tell you that a lot of those filmmakers, because I talked to a few of them and everything like that, and I heard comments that others made, and that some of my friends were also talking to filmmakers as well. And a lot of them are seriously scared of AI because they're afraid that AI is going to take over the film industry, that it's going to be making more films and taking over the creative aspect of life and everything like that. So, like I said, there were some major directors like Sam Pollard and others that were like, we're not even sure that the robots aren't going to be making these movies after a while. So how concerned do you think the creative community should be about the AI threat? Because I can tell you from what I heard, they're scared.
Mark, I think it's real. Okay. I mean, let me give you an example. I mean, I've recently done some things using AI to try to create, 30-second or 1-minute videos about the debt challenge, if you will. Okay. And it can, and I'm doing it, by the way. I think the people that are doing it are in Pakistan. Okay. But they're able to turn around a quality product at a very low cost, okay, using AI. And so if you can do that with regard to short films, you can do it with regard to longer films. So I think, it depends upon what industry you're in, and then what level you're in, as to how you're likely to be affected by AI.
Hey, David, I guess I had a follow up to that really quickly. One of the things that has surprised me and all along those lines is when it comes to propaganda, and you mentioned that some of these people that you were working with were from Pakistan, and I know we're trying to stay away, at least from now, and I understand where you were coming from that standpoint, David, and everything like that, the political landscape. But there's no doubt in my mind that in a lot of ways, Iran is winning the AI battle and everything like that, because whoever's designing those commercials are doing a great job, but they're using something very basic like Lego characters, and they are very politically charged. And all you got to do is watch them to see that they're very politically charged and somewhat effective. So I just wonder, is that something we're also going to be worrying about? Is how
Well, listen, I mean, let me clarify. I don't have any problem talking about Iran and what the potential, how are we going to get out of Iran, what's going to happen, and what are the economic implications. I got a problem with that. I don't want to talk politics, and I don't want to talk about politicians. That's not what this show is about, okay? Right. And I'm a professional, objective, fact-based, nonpartisan, non-personal individual. By the way, I think the real question with regard to Iran is how are we going to leave it, and when are we going to leave it? Because we're going to leave it, okay? To the extent that you have fanatics that are in charge, to the extent that we don't even know who's in charge to be able to negotiate, okay, then I think we're going to have to decide at what point do we exit. And let's see what happens in the next 48 hours, because I think there's a very good chance that the conflict will resume. I think there's a very good chance that dual use bridges and electric infrastructure will be destroyed. And I think there's a chance that we may end up destroying their capabilities on Karg Island. And if that ends up happening, well, they're going to be in a world of hurt from an economic standpoint. And then after that, I think there's a chance that we exit. And we don't need the oil from the Persian Gulf, okay? We get affected by the prices, but it's time that the countries who need the oil from the Persian Gulf step up and make sure that they can secure the opening and safe passage through the Persian Gulf. And by the way, the problem is primarily an insurance problem. It's not just a matter of whether or not you think you can get safe passage. It's a matter of whether the insurance companies believe they can get safe passage, because the companies need insurance on these things in order to be able to traverse it. Oh, by the way, if you look, technically, the area that's involved with the Strait of Hormuz, half of it is the property of Oman, half of it is the property of Iran. But under the law of the sea, there's supposed to be the right of passage, okay? But it's not international waters. People keep on saying it's international waters. It's not. But there's a right of passage under the international law of the sea, although I don't think Iran and maybe even the United States recognizes that.
The law of the sea. We studied that.
If Rick was here, he could check it out about a
minute. Rick's actually on, but he's out of pocket there for a while as well.
Because there was a commentator on LinkedIn talking about AI taking over medicine, and that the people that have medical problems won't go to their doctors today. A lot of them are going to their computers and going to AI and asking them about their medical conditions. Are we going to see that more often, where people are bypassing their professionals?
Absolutely, positively, yes. Okay, you're going to see that. Okay, and one of the things that I've advocated for a while is, the precursor to that was prescription drug advertising on TV, which I think should be outlawed. Okay, and by the way, there's only 2 countries on earth that allow it, and we're one of the 2, because everybody else has figured out that it just fuels demand, okay? And it puts the doctors in a very difficult position, because somebody comes in and says, I want this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other problem that's happening is in the legal profession, AI taking over law. Now, a lot of attorneys will actually go to their AI computer to have them draft the briefs that go to court today. And they don't even do the drafting. So are lawyers going to have problems with this? By the way, the judges don't like it when they cite things improperly, because AI is not 100%. But are we going to see it taking over the legal profession?
Absolutely. I think it's going to absolutely have an impact on lower level associates in the legal profession. I think it's going to absolutely have an impact on lower level professionals in other professions. Okay. I personally use AI for research. I do not use AI for writing. I think that's unethical. Okay. And I'm in the process right now of writing my 5th book. And so I'll use AI for research, but you have to double check what AI tells you. It's not always right. Okay.
Yeah.
Although
That's been my opinion, is that when I look at it, sometimes I have to go check it because sometimes it's just 100% wrong. But Dr. Sharif may have some opinions differently. Maybe he does his PhD dissertation this way. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Honorable David Walker, for your very wisdom-oriented discussions and dialogues. My Bangladeshi people, they really like this kind of dialogues, and we are organizing Innovative Bangladesh Conference in 6 months. We want to invite you all as a keynote speaker, as a special guest in our conference, and we are inviting our prime ministers to all of the corporations, academia, and everyone in this conference. Second important things that with Tando, Think and Do Tanks, and my World Talent Economic Forums and Japan UN University, together we developed this wisdom app, this Kokoro. This is a long time our research and everything that human wisdom, what you have, Honorable David Walker, what Nick has. This is ultimately the beauty of and very resourceful things for human progressions. And secondly, this artificial intelligence, yes, this is as a tool, it's very important, but the more people use this AI and all of the tools and everything, especially the youth, as I'm academicians, I find this youth become more unproductive, less intelligent through utilizing this AI and chatbot and everything, and through chat GPTs and everything. So we build up like wisdom app with Global North and Global South. With all of the brilliant people, wisdom we are bringing together, we are doing research, and how we getting response from around the world. I believe that wisdom, what Honorable David Walker you have or everyone has, this is more important for global sustainabilities and global improvement, and this is the way how we can bring global peace also. So that is my thoughts. What's your thought about wisdom?
Yeah, here's from my perspective, the one big thing that AI can't do, and I'd be interested to what others think about this, is something called emotional intelligence. In other words, it's one thing to be able to do raw research and generate raw data and do different calculations, but the human dimension of being able to use judgment to be able to assess the reaction of others, what generally is referred to as emotional intelligence. I don't see AI doing that. Okay. And that's something that's a value add. And that comes with experience.
It could be difficult, especially like in the legal community where I work with actuaries. We have the reasonable man standard, okay? And how do you calculate? My actuaries used to come to me and say, how do you calculate what a reasonable man would think? And see, that's the problem, where if we wanted to calculate 40% of eligible employees, you can take a group of 100 times 40% equals 40. They could do that. And we could do annuity testing and actuarial testing. It's all math. But the minute you move to a standard like reasonable suspicion or intent or, a reasonable salary, for example, I think this is where AI is going to have a problem, David. They don't have that.
Right. And let me give you an example of something that I'm dealing with right now that we've talked about on this show many times. Okay. When I talk about what do we need to do to put our finances in order, one of the principles that you have to consider that I think AI would have a very difficult time doing it is the following. What is politically feasible? Mm-hmm. In other words, when AI can come up and tell you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and this is how the math works, and but I don't think it has the experience and the judgment to know, for example, who are all the major interest groups in Washington? Where do they stand on these issues? Okay, what's the difference between, conservatives, moderates, and liberals? Not all Democrats are in one camp. Not all Republicans are in one camp. What does it take to get something considered by the Senate that can avoid a filibuster? I mean, there's just a number of different things, but the real issue is contextual sophistication, being able to have enough experience and judgment to be able to say, look, technically you're right, you could do this, but politically it'll never happen. And that's why I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. I mean, I have people come to me all the time saying, what do you think about this Social Security reform plan? What do you think about this tax plan? What do you think about this, healthcare plan? And one of the things that I do that most people don't do is I don't just consider the merits of what they're talking about. I consider, is it politically feasible? Mm-hmm. And if it's not politically feasible, I'm not going to spend any time on it.
No, that makes sense, David. But to your point, and I'm one of the few people I know, Jacoby's done some research in it as well. But as y'all know, I have many jobs and all that, but one of them is a testing company. And what you're talking about is what they have discovered is that the human nuance or the human kind of like weight is not able to be measured as of yet by AI. Doesn't mean that there aren't people working on it that can't eventually develop it, but right now it's not there because I've been on a couple of like tests where they're basically testing us against the AI, many of those of us that are grading, and they are finding that some of that human element, like the difference between rural and city, the difference between somebody that's been raised in, say, the east side of Harlem and somebody that's been raised in Idaho, they can't oftentimes pick that kind of like background nuances and everything like that. So I agree with you on that standpoint because I've seen the research from the company that I work for and all along those lines, and they're finding that is very much the case, at least now. Now there might be eventual research where that changes.
Right, I agree. It's developing rapidly, and so we'll see. But as of today, that's clearly, I think, a limitation.
So the real question of the show was, will AI be able to pull us, the United States, out of the debt and fiscal irresponsibility that it's got itself into?
I'll give you the same answer I gave when I voted on the proposed redistricting of the state of Virginia, which is tomorrow, where they're trying to take it from 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans to 10 Democrats and 1 Republican, and saying that that's fair. Okay. My vote and my answer to your question is hell no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I see that the interest on the debt is hard dollars. The debt is hard dollars. The valuation is not. It's fluff. In other words, it's
speculation. It's speculation. Right. Yeah. The other thing is the number that you're giving, Nick, is the number on the amount of interest that you have to pay debt held by the public. And as you know, the debt held by the public is about 31 trillion, but the debt that we have to pay interest on includes the trust fund debt, and that number is 39 trillion and growing rapidly.
Yeah, and the thing is, for the financial planners that we beam out to the show, the real question is, how do they plan for Social Security and Medicare in the next decade when the trust funds all run out of money?
Well, I have to deal with this fairly frequently because I give a fair number of speeches to, financial planners, investment advisors, insurance people, et cetera. And, a lot of them are saying, well, it's we might have to double tax rates. Look, first, there's no way that the Congress is going to allow the Social Security benefits to be cut 28% across the board in 2032, which is what would have to happen if they don't do anything. They're going to do something. The question is, when are they going to do it and what are they going to do? All right. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that if we wanted to do nothing and only deal with our fiscal challenge by raising individual income tax rates, that's it. That's all we want to do. Okay. And we waited 20 years to do it, which I don't think we have that much time, by the way. I think we'd have a debt crisis way before that, okay? Then you'd have to double individual income tax rates in order to be able to do that. But again, coming back to political feasibility, that ain't going to happen because it's not politically feasible. And so what I tell people is, look, in the case of Social Security, if you're retired or close to retirement age, you're not going to be affected very much. On the other hand, the younger you are and the better off you are financially, the more you're going to be affected with regard to eligibility age, with regard to benefit amount, if you will. But the great thing about Social Security is young people don't think they're going to get it at all. They're wrong. They're going to get it, okay? Seniors think they're going to get a big slash. That's not going to happen either because of the political aspects as well as the equity aspects, if you will. And on taxes, what I tell people is you should assume the tax rates over time are probably going to go up 20 to 30%. They're not going to double, but they're probably going to go up 20 to 30% because what's going to have to happen is to solve the problem. It's primarily a spending problem, but with political feasibility, you can't just do it with spending. You got to have some revenues in order to get the votes that are necessary in order to pass it and in order to be able to sustain it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on those two things.
David, I know we're
we're at the hour mark, so we're going to have to go. But the thing is, we do want to thank the Honorable David M. Walker, former Comptroller General of the United States, and our panel from around the world. And we'll see you next week on economics.
Thanks, everybody, for coming on. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.